If I could bring one dead philosopher back to life, it'd be Immanuel Kant. Not because I agree with everything he says or because I think he'd be cool to grab a beer with, but because in just my opinion, he's one of the smartest philosophers. He pretty much touched on every branch of philosophy and interconnected them in his own way. Metaphysics, epistemology, ethics. Kant did groundbreaking work in each of these fields. Even though we're going to try to focus on his ethics, we'll see how these fields also become relevant. The starting point for Kant's moral philosophy is found in his work, The Grounding for the Metaphysics of Morals, also sometimes called the Groundwork for the Metaphysics of Morals. But make no mistake, this is a grounding for something further. This one book does not fully encapsulate all of Kant's thoughts on the matter. In fact, he has another book entitled The Metaphysics of Morals. It's just hard to find because whenever you Google that, you're probably going to get hit with a much more popular grounding book. Kinda like when you were a kid searching up Halo 3 but you only got results for the Beyonce song. Point is, if you think something feels missing or left out in this small book, maybe the Metaphysics of Morals can fill in that gap for you. And this video is meant as just an introduction, because if you've read Kant, you know, this guy's writing is dense. So we'll have to break this up into multiple videos. Now I gotta warn you, this first part of this video is heavily based on epistemology, or the study of knowledge. It's pretty abstract and will certainly turn many of you away, so be warned. It is only for those brave souls who could get through epistemology. But after that, we'll go into an actual real-life example of Kant's moral philosophy involving the issue of lying. So what is a metaphysics of morals anyway? Let's actually define the title of the book we're working with so we know what it's all about. Let's start with metaphysics. Metaphysics for Kant are a philosophy that is based on a priori principles. Now that's a big Kant term that basically means prior to experience. So these are principles you can deduce solely from using your rational mind. You don't need experience to come up with these principles. For example, if it is Monday, then it is not Saturday. You don't need to check anything out in the world to know that this statement is true. You can simply deduce in your mind that if it is Monday, then it is therefore not Saturday. Principles like these build up metaphysics for Kant. All philosophy, insofar as it is founded on experience, may be called empirical, while that which sets forth its doctrines as founded entirely on a priori principles may be called pure. The latter, when merely formal, is called logic, but when limited to determinate objects of the understanding, it is called metaphysics. So when we're talking about a metaphysics of morals, we're talking about something that is based in the a priori reasoning. It's not dependent upon experience or what's out there in the world. It's based upon rational deductions. Now you might think this is dumb because why wouldn't you want to base your ethics on, what's actually happening out there in the world? I mean, come on, Kant. Shouldn't we experience things and base our reasoning upon that? Well, no. In fact, for Kant, it's a good thing to purge his metaphysics of morals of any experience or context dependency, or anything like that. Experience may corrupt what Kant is trying to create here, which is a pure morality, which can guide us universally. It's like Kant is trying to create a perfect blue paint, and any addition of empiricism is like dropping a dot of red paint in there to mess him up. A metaphysics of morals is thus indispensably necessary, not merely because of motives of speculation regarding the source of practical principles which are present a priori in our reasoning, but because morals themselves are liable to all kinds of corruption, as long as the guide and supreme norm for correctly estimating them are missing. Look, throughout the world, different cultures have different moral beliefs, and throughout time, our moral beliefs change as well. If Kant wrote about morality based solely on his experiential time and place, we arguably would not be talking about it today. He was after something that would survive change, something universal, something eternal, something that we could always rely on no matter where we are and what time we were living in. I know epistemology or knowledge talk isn't really what this channel is about, and it may be boring to some of you, but it's really foundational for Kant's moral philosophy. But here's the bad news, guys. We only just covered the preface of this book, the grounding for the grounding, so to speak. So let's stop playing in the ground for now and actually shift on over to another work by Kant entitled On a Supposed Right to Lie Because of Philanthropic Concerns. We're going to jump from the preface to an actual application by Kant to see where his concern for universality comes into play in an example. So this essay is responding to a complicated situation involving a murderer. Let's say you're at home one night eating Panda Express when your friend knocks at your door. He says, "Hey friend, you gotta hide me in your house. A murderer is stalking me and is trying to kill me." Now since you're a good friend, you let them hide upstairs. Minutes later you hear a knock on the door, and when you open it, you see an axe-wielding man asking about the whereabouts of your friend. Should you tell him the truth that you let him hide upstairs? Or should you lie and say he's elsewhere? So we'll get into Kant's categorical imperative in another video, but for now just go with Kant thinks that you should never lie, and this should be a universal rule for you to follow. But wait, if you should never lie, then you can't lie in this example. Therefore you should tell the murderer that you let your friend hide upstairs? That sounds a bit weird, Kant. How do you justify this? First, Kant reminds us that outside this specific situation, lying is wrong. We should tell the truth even if it means harm. Truthfulness in statements that cannot be avoided is the formal duty of man to everyone, however great the disadvantage that may arise therefrom for him or for any other. We usually think about telling the truth as being good even when it disadvantages us. You know, like when we were kids and we stole something, telling the truth may mean we get put in timeout, but it's still considered the right thing to do. Okay, Kant, but you can't escape the situation any longer. Are you really saying that we should tell the murderer that we hid our friend upstairs? Well, yes, for two big reasons. The most appealing is the detachment from our actions to the effect. You telling the truth is not you picking up the axe and murdering your friend. Your action is simply telling the truth. Yes, it's very probable that this will lead to your friend being brutally murdered, but it's not the actual cause of telling the truth. Because what if your friend escaped through the window? What if your friend did that, you lied and said he wasn't there, and then the murderer finds your friend outside and murders him? Then your lie would have caused his death. You see, the effects of our actions aren't always certain. They're based on experience in the material world and are therefore volatile and subject to change. That's why Kant is so vehement about universality, because it's like a guiding light that will tell us what to do in any situation. So it's not you telling the truth that gets your friend killed, it's the one actually doing the killing. You telling the truth is just you doing your duty. Another important concept we'll cover in another video. It was merely an accident that the truth of the statement did harm to the occupant of the house. For every man has not only a right, but even the strictest duty to be truthful in statements that are unavoidable, whether this truthfulness does harm to himself or others. But Kant, can't we let it slide just this once? I mean, come on, this is a pretty unique situation here. Well, no, because allowing any exceptions or context-dependent actions would go against the very concept of universality, the very big thing Kant is after. If we really want the idea that lying is wrong to be applied throughout space and time eternally, then we have to abide by it in every instance, even when it accidentally leads to harm to others. But that was just part one of exploring Kant's moral philosophy. You know what's funny, I think I also started a series on John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism that I also haven't updated yet. So I'll leave this up to anyone who's gotten this far into the video. Would you prefer if I keep working on utilitarianism or Kant? This big battle will occur in the comment section below. Also, sorry if I sounded weird in this video, I'm kinda getting over a cold. If you did enjoy this video though, then be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And with that, I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.